Good evening. I'd like to thank the Civic Federation for inviting me here this evening and thank all of you for participating in this event. I'm Josh Ruebner, the Green Party candidate for the 47th District House of Delegates. In 1776, George Mason wrote in the Virginia Declaration of Rights that all men are by nature equally free and independent and have certain inherent rights. These majestic and revolutionary words have inspired those struggling for liberty and self-determination ever since. Yet, even as he penned this profound political statement, George Mason must have known in his heart that equality under the law and human rights for all were all ideals to be aspired to, rather than a description of the reality of the Virginia of his day. Over the past 233 years, we have come much closer toward achieving this vision George Mason laid out for our Commonwealth and country. However, much remains to do, and the task falls upon each generation anew to take up George Mason's challenge and move us closer to the definition of a Commonwealth found in the Virginia Declaration of Rights, that government is instituted for the common benefit. This is why I am running for the House of Delegates, and why I am convinced that working together, we can shape a future for Virginia built upon social justice, human rights, equality for all, and ecological wisdom. These are no mere catchphrases, but form the very crux of the challenges that we confront today and which we can and will overcome with determination and vision. We must confront the paradox that Virginia is one of the wealthiest states in the country, yet 500,000 working Virginians live in poverty. We need a living wage. We must reform our regressive tax structure that places the heaviest burdens on the shoulders of those least able to afford it, and make sure that wealthy individuals and corporations are paying their fair share. We must enact comprehensive campaign finance reform to take corporate influence out of our body politic. We must do away with the dubious distinction of being the state which executes the second highest number of people in the country, and which makes it virtually impossible for someone who's been in prison to have his or her voting rights restored. We must rewrite laws and constitutional amendments which discriminate against people based on their sexual orientation or immigration status. Equality in marriage and equal access to education are human rights whose denial cannot be abided. Finally, Virginia needs a clean energy revolution based on renewable energy sources rather than relying on dirty and dangerous sources of the past. And we need bold and creative mass transit options to solve our region's gridlock, not more road widening. I believe that if George Mason were here with us today, he would agree that we need to move Virginia forward in this progressive direction to fulfill his vision of equality and human rights for all. I am Josh Ruebner, and I ask for your vote on November 3rd. Thank you very much.
Adjusting this a bit, a little tall. Right. So my name is Brescia. I'm the Republican nominee for this office. Thank you, Michael, and thank you for the Civic Federation for hosting this event. 3 days ago, Japanese voters rejected one-party rule. I think Arlington voters should do that as well. We find ourselves experiencing the toughest economic conditions in a generation. Our home values have fallen, our retirement accounts have plummeted, unemployment rate has risen, and people worry if they can stay here on fixed incomes. My friends on the left ask, what can government do? While my friends on the right ask, what is government doing to make it worse? The truth is, both questions are important to ask. And Arlington needs a delegate willing and able to ask and answer both questions. What can the government do? Protect the environment, educate our children, keep us safe, build roads and transit, and provide a safety net for the disadvantaged. But there's a lot we need to reform. Healthcare costs continue to skyrocket, many residents can't get into our universities, nonviolent drug offenders clog our prisons, and Northern Virginia's transportation dollars don't stay in Northern Virginia. My friends, what happens in Arlington should stay in Arlington. I, as a professional economist, understand the inefficiencies in how we spend money, and what we can do to make our government smarter. My Democrat opponent simply offers a wish list of new spending items with no way to pay for them, and that sounds awfully familiar with our past presidential administration. But as an economist, I offer a unique and necessary perspective. I don't repeat the talking points of pundits and special interests. I understand the true effects of economic policy. I know how to probe into revenue projections so we don't continue to set false budgets. And we're paying for that price right now, with a budget shortfall of $1.5 to $1.8 billion. We might like to focus on other things, but fixing the deficit will be the issue this next session. We can't afford to raise taxes, but we have to protect areas like education and transportation. And that's why I'm calling for Virginia to privatize the state-run liquor system, as a Warner administration commission recommended. Privatizing the stores and selling licenses for sales would generate up to $1 billion in immediate revenue, protecting our priorities. And what shouldn't be government doing? Government should get out of our wallets, and it should also get out of our bedrooms. Government should get out of retail, and it should get out of the way of job creation and economic growth. It's time Arlington increased its impact in Richmond. If we want our delegation passing bills and just not claiming to fight for them, if we want our delegation getting dedicated transportation revenue and just not making excuses, we need voices on both sides of the aisle. 3 days ago, Japanese voters rejected one-party rule. I'm asking you to do the same. Please vote Eric Brescia for delegate in the 47th district.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Hope, and I'm delighted to be here seeking the Virginia House of Delegates 47th district seat right here in Arlington County. You know, over the last 10 years, I've worked effectively with Arlingtonians on a wide range of community needs, from chairing the Arlington Community Services Board to 2 terms on the Arlington Commission on Aging, to my long tenure with Arlington Special Olympics, and as founder and president of the Buckingham Community Civic Association. I'm eager to put to use in Richmond what I've learned to strengthen our economy and keep Virginia moving forward. To keep Virginia moving forward in the area of education, I'm committed to full funding for our public schools and higher education. The key to our economic future depends on the strength of our public schools. I'm very concerned about all this talk about taking money away from our schools and putting it in other programs. I'll fight this short-sightedness. Moreover, I'll seek to fully fund universal pre-K for all of our kids. Every child is precious, and this is no time to shortchange our most important resource. I also want to keep Virginia moving forward in the area of transportation. I'll fight for a dedicated, permanent, and sustainable funding level to fully fund Metro Rail and bus, regional roadways, bikeways, and pedestrian crossways. Virginia must focus on putting its resources on moving people and not cars. I also want to move Virginia forward and pursue better policies to protect our environment. I'll push for investments in renewables like wind and solar power, and encourage conservation and other kinds of efficiencies, and build a conservation workforce, creating green jobs and preserving our environment for future generations. All of this will save energy, save money, and put Virginians back to work. And finally, for those of you that know me, you know that the cause of my community service has been helping our most vulnerable populations, the poor, the sick, the homeless, our disabled, both mentally and physically, and our senior citizens. I pledge to you as your delegate, I'll make this the cause of my public service as well. In conclusion, my wife, 3 daughters, and I, we benefit every single day from living in Arlington County with a pretty good economy, great public schools, an abundance of transportation options, and an abiding commitment to protecting our environment and our most vulnerable populations. As your delegate, I'll fight to protect what we have right here in Arlington County and pursue policies that keep Virginia moving forward. Thank you very much. I look forward to your questions.